This is Robert Sijpesteijn bringing you this morning's market update. Yesterday posted positive results globally, which continued into today's trading, with Asian markets soaring. The Nikkei index topped the lot, closing 7.71% higher at 18,771 points. Japan's key index made its biggest one-day gain in 7 years. The rebound came just one day after the index suffered a 2.4% drop, which wiped off all of its gains year to date. After yesterday's recovery, the benchmark index is now 7.6% higher than it was at the start of 2015. Over in China, investors also showed boosted confidence. The Shanghai Composite and Hang Seng were 2.32% higher and 3.55% higher at the close, respectively. This positive movement was mirrored by most markets yesterday. In the US, all indices closed up on the day, with the US 500 climbing 29 points, closing on 1,969.23. The US Tech 100 added 74.02 points, closing on 4,303.43. And the Wall Street gained 229 points, closing on 16,659. In US corporate news last year, failing to own Apple was the most painful mistake a US equity fund manager could have made. This year, that distinction goes to Amazon. Up 67% in 2015, the online retailer has contributed the most to mitigating losses in the S&P 500's index this year. Amazon's ascent has been aided not just by Apple's misfortunes, but by its perceived haven status at a time when investors want nothing to do with emerging markets. The company, which gets 57% of its revenue from North America, is less exposed to global growth than its peers. In 5 of the past 6 years, as the S&P 500 more than doubled, Apple ranked as the #1 driver of the index. It has now given up most of its 2015 gains, and energy producers ExxonMobil Corp and Chevron Corp have plunged, contributing 18% of the S&P 500's losses. That's made the benchmark measure one of the worst performers out of 24 developed equity markets this year. Looking at commodities, gold added $2 yesterday, closing on $1,122.8, while Brent crude creeped up closer to the $50 mark, closing on $49.36 a barrel. In the oil sector, Indonesia is close to rejoining OPEC, despite a continuing decline in crude oil output in Southeast Asia's largest economy. The country hopes to be readmitted to the oil producers' cartel at the December meeting, 7 years after Jakarta suspended its membership for the exact reason of failing production. In a statement on Tuesday, OPEC said Jakarta had submitted an official request to reactivate its membership, which had been circulated to cartel members for approval. Following feedback, Sudirman said Indonesia Energy Minister would be invited to OPEC's December meeting. It said this will include the formalities of reactivating Indonesia's membership for the organization. Indonesia has contributed much to OPEC's history. We welcome its return. The statement added, although the country exports some crude, it remains a net importer because of its need for refined products. Industry analysts say re-entering the cartel has clear benefits for Indonesia, where a fast-growing population is driving demand for oil, and the government is pushing ahead with plans to expand the refining industry. In Europe, the UK 100 rose 76 points, closing on 6,176.8, while the Germany 30 gained 169.9 points to close the day up on 10,996.4. Despite the previous market turmoil seen in recent weeks, global market volatility shows no sign of dampening companies' appetite for deal-making, as $40 billion in new transactions worldwide were announced on Tuesday in what is on track to be a record year for mergers and acquisitions. M&A activity on Tuesday included Hong Kong tycoon Li Ka-shing's $12 billion utility deal, Australia's Woodside Petroleum's $8 billion offer for small rival oil search, Mitsui Sumitomo's $5.3 billion bid for UK-listed insurer Amlin, and Blackstone's $6 billion deal to buy strategic hotels in the US. The announcements pushed the total amount of transactions since January over $3 trillion, the highest total since 2007. In today's corporate news, Fortescue Metals Group shares rises 9.7% on news that the company has been approached to sell stakes in some of its operations. Hargreaves Lansdown reported total revenues for the year of £395 million. United Airlines chief executive Jeff Smisek resigns amid corruption inquiry. Monetize reported revenue down 6% in the year to the end of June, at the same time Chief Executive Elizabeth Bowes steps down. And Ryanair raises full-year profit guidance by 25% to the range of €1.175 billion. Today's economic data in focus. At 9:30 in the UK, we see the release of manufacturing production for July, industrial production for July, and the trade balance for July. And at 10 a.m. in Greece, we see the consumer price index for August, as well as industrial production released for August. That's all for this morning's market update. Thank you and goodbye.